Serious effort, new devices, new solutions which combine the strength we have in electronics, in design and in software come up in India even as they start coming up in rest of the world, and we make use of such devices and solutions across different sectors of the economy.
The people that are sitting here, the members for IESA, the participants, the startups, our dignitaries from METI, from STPI, and all my other industry partners. From the bottom of my heart, I believe this is one of the most intelligent set of people coming together, today for this event.
I'm sure that the kind of work IESA is doing, in times to come, we are collaborating on many more frontiers, and this would evolve over a period of time. And I'm sure that with all stakeholders together, India will be, achieving a much needed electronics ecosystem in this country.
These are having a big impact on our industry, a big impact on entrepreneurs, and on the opportunities ahead for all of us.
We value our partnership with IESA. IESA has been very integral in guiding us in how do we make that policy a reality.
We plan to launch a program called 1K, 10K, 100K, 1000K, implying to create 1,000 startups, 10,000 IPs and patents, 100,000 crore of business, and 1 million jobs through this program.
Here for people at the back, please, if you could come and occupy the chairs. Okay. Once again, welcome all of you to the IESA chapter meet of Delhi. This is the first meeting that we are organizing this year, and we would want all of you to actively participate in the discussions that we are going to have while a couple of people will be talking, make it interactive, and post that also during dinner. We are open to taking any suggestions and how we can do better things together. To formally kick it off, I'd like to welcome our president, Mr. Rajesh Ram Mishra, to welcome all of you to this discussion today.
Good evening. Yeah, very warm welcome to all of you. Delhi is really warm, Bangalore was 26, Delhi is 47. Okay, so I think we should have a lot more interactive discussions today. And I think IESA, we are, on the 15th year of our journey. Okay, we started with focusing on semiconductor, then expanded to the whole ecosystem of electronics. But today, if you ask me, we are at an inflection point where electronics is touching every area, whether how to grow a plant faster, or how do you build an exoskeleton, or how do you do an electric vehicle. So we are entering each and every field, wherever you see, there is an opportunity, right? And I just came back from discussions with Secretary Mr. Ajay Sahni at METI and both the joint secretaries. The kind of interest and interaction they are having with ISA, I think it's going to be a exciting time ahead, okay? And I want all of you to take very active role in that. And so with that, I want to announce a very good news that we have decided that, because a lot of times the feeling was that because majority of the companies in semiconductor and electronics are based out of Bangalore, so is ISA a Bangalore-based association? Okay, so we are saying ISA Executive Council is more like a it's a pan-India organization enabling, interactions and every, parts of India. So today we are very happy to announce that we are setting up a local chapter in Delhi, which will have active interaction with all the member communities. So I'd like to invite the chair and the co-chair of the local chapter, Sanjay Gupta, MD of NXP, please come on stage. And Anku join, MD MediaTek, to come and join. So they will be forming the team. I would like them to share a few words. Okay. So.
Thank you very much and welcome everyone in this daily member meet. We are very happy that today we had a prior meeting and we decided that in order to have a vibrant ISA community in North India and Delhi being a prime area with Gurgaon on one side and Noida on the other side. So we'll try to make a vibrant community with all of you together and hopefully be complementing ISA effort, whichever they assign us in Delhi chapter, and try to do our bit.
So welcome everyone. So I'm Anku Jain. Hey, buddy. And I'm heading MediaTek India operations. We have 3 offices in India, in Delhi, Noida, Bangalore, and Mumbai. And actually, I have been part of IESA for a long time, and it'll be, I think we'll create some ideas. How can we, create more traction in Delhi? And I agree that, it's more like a Bangalore thing. So we will try to change that. And we discussed earlier, we had a pre-meeting before this event, that how do we create more ideas and how do we create more takeaways for the members in IESA. So that is something we debated, but I think more has to be done. And we will try to understand what are the various stakeholders who, what are the key takeaways from them, and try to create some kind of synergy for that. So thank you.
I think I'll just ask you to start the next part of the session, which is going to be very interesting. I just wanted to tell you that when you were walking out of MeitY today, all of them were holed up in one conference room, and the one slide you should see is that 100-day plan of MeitY. Okay, so Modi ji, I think, has asked everybody to look at 100-day plan. So we should also be aligned to that. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Let me just pick up on that 100-day bit. We were just discussing this, and what should we call as the 100-day vision for IESA? And we said, why not 100? Let's talk about a 1,000-day vision. Okay, let's take 3.5 years from now. What do we want to do? What should we collectively do? What we are looking at is tripling the GDP that the electronics industry provides to the country in the next 1,000 days. And how can we achieve that? Right? That's the question that we are asking for ourselves. And what we will see now is a couple of initiatives which we are starting from the understanding that we have brainstormed amongst each other. What we would want you to do is poke fingers at it, help us understand what more can be done within that space. And we are open to suggestions like RRM, our president, the entire team, the entire EC is here. So you could talk to them and give us suggestions. With that, Venki, our senior advisor, I'd invite him to kickstart the initiatives presentation.
Good evening. So they just asked me whether I need a headphone. I don't think I need a headphone, right? So, guys, I think we have a very ambitious target in front of us, but I think all this cannot be achieved. Whatever vision IESA is going to set forward, cannot be achieved without your inclusivity. So if you look at what I'm going to just share, the co-initiative groups of IESA, which has been in existence for quite some time, it's all the work that you have done. Okay, I'm just representing you on this stage right now. Okay, so. All right, so these are all the interest groups that have been in existence in IESA for quite some time. Some of them have been for a while. Some of them are absolutely new, right? So let me kind of walk you through some of them, and I have some leaders of some of the CIGs right in this room. So I'd call upon them to kind of talk about what they are doing, right? So I'm just representing those leaders who are not present here, right? So you can see, starting from aerospace and defense that we started quite some time ago. In fact, I was running Wind River at that time, 2009. I think PVG here called me and said, hey, you need to do some work for IESA. So I set this up long time ago, and I think we've come a long way. I'll talk about that. Automotive, Sanjay is right here. He'll give you a little snapshot of what he's been doing for quite some time. Broadcasting, Ankan Biswas, who actually is a veteran in broadcasting, runs that CIG. IoT, of course, we are the Troika, Arvind Tiwari for TIE, me and Shom run this IoT forum. Manufacturing is a new, absolute new, which is run by none other than Guru from Wistron, the MD of Wistron. We just formed the council last week. Netra, this is something that I've been involved as well, with Johnny as the head and Vivek Pawar and all that group. I'll talk about that. And I think ESSCI, you have Mahapatra here and Samprada, they've been part of this as well for quite some time. Safal, a success story of IESA. We'll have RRM talk about it. Electropreneur Park right here. We have Sanjeev. We'll talk about that as well. And Sandbox Startup. This is something that we've been doing, but we didn't take too much credit for this. I'll talk about this a little later. Let me start with NETRA, right? NETRA stands for the National ESDM Technology Research Academy. We actually started this 5 years ago. Vivek Pawar actually spearheaded this. We started off with a talent core group with a simple objective of bridging the gap between academia and industry. And we're kind of fairly successful for the first couple of years. I think there were about 12, 15 of them who were very, very active. We took Seer Academy's, the entire course content with the help of the industry. We modified that, and then we kind of ran certain, VLSI modules, right? And we also kind of placed students who actually went through this course content in our, semicon fraternity. And somewhere down the line, we felt that, we have to move up the value chain and create more value as ESDM and the academia. So we decided that, the vision that we were set for ourselves for NETRA is to kind of, create an ESDM incubation campus, right? Taking our industry expertise to the campus and making the students over there move from projects to product ideas and then start incubation. So I'll talk about certain successes that we have achieved over the last 18 months. In fact, Vivek Subnis, the ex-TIR, actually showed us the way. We've been, we were a think tank of 5 of us trying to figure out what we need to do, but I think Vivek Subnis showed us the way, right? So what did he do? So he's a guy who's based out of Bangalore. He used to go to a tier 2 city. Now, mind you, NETRA is primarily focused on tier 2 cities, right? To grow that entire VLSI, quotient, ESDM, product quotient in the tier 2 cities, right? Because they are starved of industry expertise. So what he did was he went there and he did a 5-day Bangalore Islampur. Now, I didn't even know where Islampur was. It's 2 hours from Pune in a college called RIT, right? And he kind of, made sure that he followed all the pillars of NETRA, right up to incubation. So what are the pillars of NETRA? The first pillar of NETRA is primarily to look at how, multidisciplinary teams within engineering campuses get together and then maybe do a prototype, do some product, do something. It's called engineering exploration. And this is something that we took from one of the colleges in Tier 2, which is KLE Technology in Hubli, who actually gave it to us. And that has been a huge success across India, right? We kind of rolled that out to a dozen universities. So engineering exploration is one of the first pillars of NETRA. The second pillar of NETRA is basically to make sure that campus students in their 3rd and 4th year start to figure out how to tape out the silicon. We called it the in-chip program. So we had people from the industry, right, who actually went there. I mean, Anand Baria, who's now in Broadcom. Now, where is he, Satya? Anand Baria right now? Ex-Broadcomer? Sci-Fi. Anand Baria and, few others, they actually went to KLE. They figured out a way to get, students involved in taping out a silicon. They took like 6 or 9 months to do this job, but then they did a timer control. So the point we're trying to make, we're trying to kind of increase the value of, silicon design on campus itself. This is the second pillar, right, the in-chip program. The other pillar is primarily what I was talking about, is to kind of look at a living lab on campus, right? They can choose whatever they want to choose, but this, like for example, KLE took an IoT smart city project and they did a living lab, the 3rd one. And the 4th one, of course, is the ESDM Startup Incubation Center. So the point I'm trying to make is getting all these 4 done is not at all easy. We're taking like almost 5 years to come to this level. So Vivek Subnis went through all the 4 pillars. He's made sure that he got 14 startups on campus, and the proof of the pudding is the eating, as they say, right? So he also got a 5 crore grant from the Maharashtra government to support the incubation center. So to date, we have 3 successes. We have KLE, we have RIT, we have MIT Aurangabad. So this program is now the hotbed for IESA, and people like, thanks to Ramanan sir, he's very keen to support this, to kind of scale this up across India, right? So this is one of the programs, very, very successful. I think I'll take a look. This is one of the startups there who's actually doing kind of a play. And that's Vivek Sabnis for you, who's actually driving it. All right. So the second, this is something that we enabled in Hubli again. We got 4 crores from the state government of Karnataka to set up an entire SMT manufacturing line at the Sandbox Startups, which is actually a brainchild of Desh Deshpande. Right? So what we're trying to say is, we're trying to say that, product incubation, right? When I say product incubation, I'm talking about the physical layer at the bottom layer. Hardware startups. We want to enable hardware startups in tier 2. So we did that already here. This is the campus that you can see. JC and team were there for the inauguration. We have the IT secretary as well. So the other one, which I think most of you know, we started A&D long time ago. And I think one of the claims of success here is we did a good defense electronics policy report for the MOD, number 1. And number 2, we kind of run the Deftronics pretty successfully year on year. This is something that a chapter like Aranam was talking about. We're not a Bangalore, association. This is something that the Hyderabad chapter runs very successfully, right? The other one is broadcast. Now this is something that came along a way. Ankan Biswas today represents IESA at TRAI as part of the consultation committee. One of the big goals that he's achieving is interoperability of the CAS. So which means tomorrow, you and I need not change the set-top box at home, irrespective of what the service provider is going to be, right? So IESA is enabling the broadcast right on the ground, okay? The other one, pretty close to my heart, because I'm kind of involved here this was something that I wanted to drive, to get 2 industry bodies together. That was the aim, to kind of collaborate between 2 industry bodies and see what we can do from an IoT product ecosystem. So we call that IoT Forum. It's a TIE and IESA initiative, TIE Bangalore and IESA initiative. The objective of the IoT Forum is to raise the IoT quotient in India. That is the objective, right? And we today have about 1,580 plus startups, IoT startups in India. Right? We come out of the directory every year. It's public domain. You can kind of take a look at the entire thing. The other one that we do very successfully, and a lot of people here in the room, Intel, MediaTek, NXP, and a lot of people support us on IoT Next. This is something that we're doing very successfully. We are going to be in the 5th year of IoT Next. This year, the theme is going to be, this is something I definitely want to tell you. There are a lot of thought leadership that and thanks to Jassi, actually, Jassi was one of the earliest to kind of make sure that this collaboration happens 5 years ago. Jassi, you remember that meeting that we had? One of the things that we do very successfully here is to kind of look at the technology that's going to happen in the next couple of years. And just to give an example, we kind of gave a theme of transformation at the IoT edge a couple of years ago. And today, I keep quoting Intel's Nivriti Rai's presentation that she made at Vision Summit. She had one slide which said the rise of the IoT edge. So this year, we believe that there's going to be a confluence of the physical becoming digital and vice versa. And we believe that AR and VR will have a big influence with integration of IoT technologies. So we're calling it IoT metrics and an enchanted reality and a data-driven future, right? We will be talking about various topics here. It's a very, very interesting forum. We'd like all of you to participate. The dates have been set, November 10th, 11th, and 12th in Bangalore, okay? So we'll be talking about new technologies, digital twin, security is a big, IoT security is a very, very big topic for all of us. Data privacy and trust, which is something that after GDPR, India is very, very serious about implementing this. And obviously, every year we talk about new business models that are emerging in IoT because nobody pays for CapEx anymore, right? I think we all understand that. And these are something that you can't miss attending an IoT Next event, okay? So at this time, I'll pause and I'll invite Sanjay to come on stage and talk about automotive and what he's doing in automotive, as a leader.
Thank you, Venki. So good afternoon once again. I will just give a glimpse of what we are trying to do since last couple of years on automotive SIG. We had a vision that automotive being the fastest growing segment among many, and that trend started 2 years ago, how we can actually dedicate ourselves under ISA umbrella to think about how we can help in growing this particular segment from an India perspective, and what are the various options we have. Of course, we had more than 20 members that joined, and after long debates and brainstorming, we came up with a 4x4 cross metric. I'll quickly touch upon what they are. So horizontally, we picked up 4 areas which came as a common theme from the entire ecosystem partners, which range from an IP provider all the way till the end OEMs, and then we have tier 1 and tier 2 in between, including software and hardware companies. So our first point that came from automotive segment perspective was how we can influence the policy making with respect to the government, because there is so much of happening in automotive segment. If we can actually enable some of the policy which are friendly to automotive segment growth in India, that will be very, very important. That was number 1. Number 2 was, can we help in a cluster development where different segments within automotive ecosystem can come together in terms of the manufacturing cluster. And we had a lot of focus on Make in India from government. Can we actually leverage that for the automotive growth? The third thing, which is very, very important from the skill perspective, we have more than 10 to 15 lakh students coming out of engineering colleges at various levels, and if you add diploma and other lower streams, we have more than 20 lakh graduates coming out. How we can channelize them with the right skills so that they are directly employable into automotive industry. And we all recognize that right now this is very, very weak spot, not just for automotive, but for the whole industry in general. So how we can help in getting the right university relations and industry bodies to influence the curriculums and tailor-made these sessions for making them day one employable in automotive segment, right from manufacturing all the way till the high-end electronics and embedded software. And the last but not the least was the startup forum. Can we help in incubating some of the automotive-centric startups where while we are moving away from our typical mechanical engines into electric vehicles and ADAS kind of features which are being talked about, but do we have the right ecosystem around that? And that's where ISA umbrella can be very handy, where dedicated channels around that are actually happening. If we go into the verticals, the 4 verticals that we chose was number 1, two-wheeler. India happens to be the number 1 country in the two-wheeler segment, so can we actually leverage that vertical? The second one was the trend about electrification. We are talking right now on the electric vehicles. Big growth is happening around the world. India is lagging behind somewhere. How we can intercept at the right level and make policies which are friendly for electric vehicles. Third thing was, we won't go into driverless car on day 1. It will have an incremental progress, especially for most of the companies which are already traditional car makers, to gradually implement the ADAS features and one day become a level 5. And the last was, without a seamless connectivity, it is not possible. So 5G or DSRC and other technologies, if we intercept all these future trends along with the 4 horizontals, we have a 4x4 metric, and we picked up all our core team members to pick up 1 slot. So there are 4x4, 16 slots. And we asked, pick up 1 slot that you are interested in from your perspective, from your interest, and then let's add these pieces to add a sum of all. I appeal to all the daily members, join this bandwagon. We have just started. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I will say we are just at level 3. So we have a long way to go, and it's only possible if we actually join hands, join forces, and influence in making the nation from automotive perspective. So thank you and welcome.
Thanks, Sanjay. Thank you so much for taking the leadership here. All right, so the newest on the block is what we call the ISA Manufacturing Council, right? Led by Guru of Wistron, as mentioned earlier. So we kind of forming the core team from people from Foxconn, people from startups, and some policymakers, and we're just about doing that. So we thought we should kind of come out with the vision and mission and action plan for the manufacturing council. So the first thing that we believe is to make a fundamental impact on the Indian economy by enabling electronic design and manufacturing in India. And how are we going to do that? We believe that we need to connect, enable, bridge, and develop. But what are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? So we thought that first, we need to connect the existing members ecosystem, which is a semicon ecosystem, and contract manufacturers in India, and its allied supply chain to enable electronic product manufacturing. The focus, the key here is in products. Okay. The second one we believe is we need a lot of knowledge hubs, and that's where people like Ramanan sir will kind of help us out, set that up, with what he's doing right now. The third is people mentioned that we cannot ignore the SME segment. So we believe that is something that we will include in our manufacturing council. Fourth, of course, this is a big gap, and this is coming out of the forum, which is a gap in prototype design and manufacturing to commercial volumes. There's a big gap there which we believe that we need to address. And of course, the aim is to create product development companies and build brand India, right? So at this time, I'll pause again, and I'll invite RRM to talk about the SAFL.
Yeah, actually, I want all of us to think big. Okay, it's a very big ambition we have. That while China boasts about around 1,400, fabless startups, India numbers are, less than, it's 10 to 15. Okay, so we have been funded by government of Karnataka, and we are also talking to MOD and DOT as well as MeitY for additional support. And our aim is to build a very vibrant, ecosystem for fabless chip companies. Okay, and we have been supported by all the big EDA member companies. Just is there, Cadence is involved, and Synopsys and Mentor. Okay, so we are going to provide the tool chain as well as access to the shuttles, and with the mentorship support. Okay, we want to build 50 chip companies out of India in 5 years' time. Okay, so that's SAFL, and SAFL, though it is based out of Bangalore, it can provide remote access to startups from other locations as well. And currently, we're in the process of setting it up. So we have evaluated. We got around 15 applications in the initial stage, and we have already done some shortlist. It should start anytime now. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to before we move on. Okay, I just wanted to add one thing, that one point which we have not added is that for all these startups which you're talking about, we are trying to create a feeder system where we do a pan-India competition for ideas and helping people to build prototype to run these startups. So it's called, it has been running as Mechathon, and this year, we may change the name to Indiathon to make it big. But our aim is to, kind of get around 25,000 ideas, shortlist it with our member companies' help, bring it to a proof of concept level, and then take it to the various incubators we are running. And here again, we are looking for help from your side in terms of how to kind of scale that and support it.
Hey, thanks, RRM. We move on to one of the big success stories of IESA, the Electropreneur Park, right here in this place. We request Sanjeev, who's the CEO of Electropreneur Park, to kind of give us a view of what's going on.
So Electropreneur Park is another initiative where IESA is actively involved as one of the implementation partner. So this is where we have STPI and Delhi University as the other partners, the academic partner and the government partner. So put together, we offer a lot of benefits to the startups who are incubated. So we have been in operation for last 3 years now. So there is a state-of-art lab facility which we have set up. So about 3 crore rupees of funds have been invested into the lab facility for electronic startups. Then we have set up the office space. So any startup who is working on electronic product development can apply for incubation at Electropreneur Park. And we have so far incubated about 25 startups. And in last 3 years, 10 of the startups have graduated. We have a few interesting success stories in making. We have like one of the startup founder, iAutomation, sitting here with us, who is working on managed smart building solutions. And we are expecting within 1 year, they will get a valuation of about 100 crore rupees. So we have, and also the global footprint also. So we have a few more interesting startups. We have FitNano working on the smart school solutions and the facial recognition solutions. So these are the graduated startups, few success stories which are in making. So the startups, typically, we have a program of 1.5 to 2 years. So even though they have graduated, so we are still in touch, and they continue to get the mentoring support from the industry leaders. We have people like Jaswinder Ahuja, Pradeep Gupta, one of the successful entrepreneurs who is personally mentoring all the startups at Electropreneur Park. And I think this is all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Sanjeev. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. So guys, we come to an end of the core groups, but this is not all. I think, we request all of you to kind of get involved in any of the core groups that you're interested in, where you can contribute. And we would love to have a great Delhi chapter here, led by Sanjay and Anku, right? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vicky. Now, a show of hands, please. How many of you understand what agile is? What agile methodology is? Right? Now, we are trying to be agile, right? Adapting. Now, I'd like to invite somebody who's Atal in doing something that they want to do. They're doing it in an agile way, but it's called the Atal Innovation Mission. I'd like to call Mr. Ramanan to just address us and give his views on what we should be doing going forward.
Good evening, everybody. And it's indeed a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here today to participate in this, what I think is a very, very important event and a new beginning and a new chapter for the Delhi. Or I can use that. Okay. That's better. Thank you for the invitation. And it is indeed heartening to see the initiatives that are going on with IESA. And I think this is very important, not only for the nation, not only for each of your own companies, but also for the nation. And I would add to the world. I've had the opportunity of working in the private sector for the last several years, and over the last 2 years, I got the opportunity to get inducted into what I think is a path-breaking mission for the country, and that is the Atal Innovation Mission. It has been set up under the Niti Aayog, which is, as all of you know, is a National Institution for Transforming India. It works directly under the PMO. It is the PMO's vision that has given birth to Atal Innovation Mission, the Prime Minister himself. The mission has very simple objective. How do you create an ecosystem of innovation? How do you create an ecosystem of entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of the country? And when we talk of creating an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of the country, the need is obvious. We have 1.4 billion people in our country. We have 10,500 engineering and related institutions in our country. We have over 30,000 colleges. We have 1.4 million schools in our country. We have over 640,000 higher secondary schools. We have 150 million students who are going to be entering into the workplace over the next 5 to 10 years. And we have the hopes of 1 billion people riding on these 150 million who are going to create the jobs of tomorrow. We also have a world which is changing rapidly on a daily basis, on an exponential basis, because of technology. Technology is driving various changes across the world, whether it is Internet of Things and sensory technologies that is getting integrated into every aspect, whether it is man, machine, or plants, or any device that you can think of. Advanced computing is still galloping at a frenetic pace, I would say, whether it is cognitive computing, nano computing, and all the other new computing technologies that are coming. Electronics is still dominating, and it will continue to dominate over the next several years. Robotics is changing the way you are doing automation. Augmented virtual reality is completely changing the way you are able to visualize the world, the way the world is able to experience you, and the way you are able to experience the world. And with all of this, how do we ensure that our country and the students coming out from this country are able to position themselves in the world of tomorrow? How do we ensure that they all are abreast of these latest technologies. We have an educational system which has not changed over the years. It has served us very well so far. It has created a $150 or $180 billion industry, the IT-ITS industry that is there in India today. But what has brought us here is not going to take us to tomorrow. And that is why the Atal Innovation Mission has been set up, because as all of you are aware, and all of you are testimony to that, India has never lacked great innovators, great thinkers, great engineers, great scientists, but they all succeed tremendously when they go abroad. They don't succeed here, many of them, or many of them don't have the opportunity to succeed here. And obviously the big difference is the ecosystem of innovation and the ecosystem of entrepreneurship that exists outside. How do we recreate that same ecosystem here in India? How do we have 100 or 1,000 Satya Nadellas bloom, Sundar Pichai's bloom? Why do they have to go there in order to lead companies which are changing the world? Why can't such people be here in India to change the world? And therefore, the focus is very simply, how do I create this ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship? And the Atal Innovation Mission was actually set up by a think tank, drawn from the industry, from global academia, from Harvard, MIT, from the IITs, from companies in India, some global companies too. And this clearly what came out of this whole thing, and you can refer to the report on Atal Innovation Mission, which is there on the website, Niti Aayog website. What came out was you have to have a holistic approach. And the holistic approach therefore gets translated into what are we going to do at the ground level, at a school level, at a university level, at an industry level, at a state level, at a district level, at a national level, in order to be able to create this ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship. So we started on this journey 2 years ago, and it has really picked up momentum, and that is the most heartening part of it. It is not just the government has got involved in it, the whole lot of industry, private players, corporate, everybody has got into the bandwagon. And that is very important. All of you who are present here, and I'm very happy to hear about the Delhi chapter that has begun here, all of you have to become a very integral element of the innovation bandwagon that is very much needed in our country. So what we have done is at a school level, first of all, we talk of innovation, we talk of entrepreneurship, but unless you create an innovative mindset, a problem-solving innovative mindset in the young students who are coming out from schools, you're not going to get great innovators and you're not going to get great entrepreneurs of tomorrow. So we have launched thousands of what are known as Atal Tinkering Labs. Each tinkering lab is a dedicated innovation workspace in a school where students between grade 6 to grade 12 have the opportunity to work and tinker with the latest of technologies, 3D printing, robotics, IoT devices, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality. These are do-it-yourself kits which are being installed in the school. The government gives a grant of 20 lakhs per school in order to set this up. The children in the school between grade 6 to grade 12 are introduced into these technologies and tinker with these technologies. A number of thousands of tinkering challenges are launched in the schools. Every school is educated. There is an ATL in charge, an Atal Tinkering Lab in charge. Every ATL in charge is taught how to use and induct these students into problem solving and innovative thinking. We don't expect that the ATL in charge is going to be an expert on robotics or in electronics and so on. For that, we are having alternative mechanisms to ensure that. But the first and foremost thing is get the student, when they are coming from the school to their home or from their home to the school, can they observe the world around them? Can they identify problems? Can they take some problems and create solutions? This is the approach and this is the methodology that we are adopting. And these tinkering challenges are not specific problems. We don't actually specify the problem. We say, can you find a problem in the healthcare sector, and can you see how robotic technology or artificial intelligence or microelectronics can be used to address that problem? And you'll be amazed at what comes out of all of this. We have launched about 8,800 tinkering labs across the country in the last 2 years. More than 2 million young students between grade 6 to grade 12 are systematically engaging in these tinkering labs through a process which is set up in the school. We have 10,000 mentors who have been selected through an online portal from the private industry and from all of that, who have agreed to mentor these tinkering labs. And out of these 10,000 mentors, 3,800 of them have got allocated to specific adult tinkering labs. So a combination of tinkering challenges in various sectors, whether it is healthcare, urban housing development, smart cities, smart mobility, drinking water and sanitation, potable water, and so on and so forth, these are challenges that are being thrown. Then we run tinkering marathons in schools. So a tinkering marathon is a national level competition. At the school level, it is tinkering challenges. At a regional level, it is tinkering fests that we organize. And at a national level, we organize tinkering marathons. In the last tinkering marathon that was organized, 60,000 students, young school students participated. 8,000 innovations got created by them. All these innovations were displayed in every school. We encouraged the school to have a local community of judges who would be from the professional industry or their alumni and so on, and they judged the best 10 innovations from each school, which got submitted to Atal Innovation Mission for further consideration. And the top 200 have now been selected for recognition. And if you look at the type of innovations that have come up, you have robotic-based waste management, solar panel and IoT-based irrigation management solutions, solutions using augmented and virtual reality for distance education. These are not ideas, these are not essays, these are concrete prototype solutions using electronics, using IoT, using artificial intelligence programming and so on by students between grade 6 to grade 12. And it is amazing to see the type of outputs that are coming out of it. The whole idea is create this problem-solving innovative mindset, because once you've been there, done that, all of you are aware. If you have been on a project or you have helped create a prototype, you have started on your innovation journey, which is an irreversible journey. You have the confidence that I can do something, I can create something, I can become an entrepreneur, I can become a product developer, I can become a job creator. We want to induct and infuse this mindset in the school students who are joining universities. Now, at the university level, we have launched hundreds of incubators. In the last 2 years, we have selected 102 incubators across the country, and each of the incubators would foster 20 to 25 startups every 2 years, which means in a period of 4 years, you'll have about 50 startups from each incubator. And when we select an incubator applicant, there are two types of incubators whom we select. One are greenfield incubators, because that is the need. We want many universities across the country to have incubators. If you don't have an incubator, a world-class university should have a world-class incubator, because that provides the students, the talented students, the innovative students from that university to get an opportunity to do a startup over 2 years or 3 years. Otherwise, everyone who is graduating from the university is just saying, can I apply to Google? Can I apply to IBM? Can I apply to TCS? Nobody is looking at, can I do a startup? Can I come up with an innovation? Can I come up with an idea? And can I see the fruition of that idea into a product, into a company, into a unicorn? That is the whole idea of setting up these incubators. We give a grant of up to 10 crores to every successful incubator applicant. And we have taken care to see that there is a diversity of incubators. These are all technology-driven incubators. So technology becomes a very important part, electronics becomes a very important part, and that is where IESA can play a very important role in ensuring the success of the startups that are being fostered in this incubator. We are hopeful that out of these 102 incubators, and of course, there are 10,500 engineering and related institutions, like I said. So even if I'm looking at 10% of that, we need 1,000 incubators. I don't know how many of you are aware, China already has 2,000 incubators in their country. So we are still way off in terms of where we should be. But the challenges that India has are even more than what China has. So from an IESA point of view, I think you have to see how you can plug into this entire initiative that is going on, where we want the incubators to be successful, we want the startups to be successful, and we want incubators in different areas. So there should be agri incubators, biotech incubators, healthcare incubators, and in any one, any or every one of them, technology, electronics, IoT, robotics, artificial intelligence, is going to play an important role in defining the success of that incubator. The third thing that we are doing is we have launched what are known as New India Challenges, Atal New India Challenges. Atal New India Challenges are challenges that we are working with ministries. With each ministry, we are identifying challenges which are then thrown open as an open call for innovation to various companies or innovators or groups of innovators and so on. The government will aim, or Atal Innovation Mission gives 1 crore of grant to every successful applicant that is selected. So in the last incubation, in the last Atal New India Challenge, we launched 24 challenges were launched along with 5 ministries. The Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation, Ministry of Urban Housing and Development, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Rail, and the Ministry of, what I said, Drinking Water Sanitation, Rail, Transportation, Road, and Urban Housing and Development. Yeah. So we got 950, the entry point for this is you should have a prototype, you should have a product, a beta product, or you should have a patented innovation with a prototype. These were the 3 entry points that we said. And we got more than 950 applicants. And it was amazing to see the quality of the application. That means there is so much innovation happening in the country which we are not aware of, which is happening in small startups who come to a point where they are not able to proceed further because of a lack of a grant, lack of a mentor, lack of an incubator for further support. And we have now shortlisted 50 of them for grants. And in the years ahead, in the months ahead, we are going to be launching 100 more new Atal New India Challenges along with different ministries. The fourth initiative, that is work in progress, but which is advanced quite a bit and which will be launching in the month of July, is for addressing the MSME industry, the MSME, the micro, small, medium enterprises. A Make in India can only become a success if the MSME industry is galvanized into innovation. And to do that, we need to have a model that is implementable and scalable. So we have developed along the lines of the US SBIR program, which is a very successful program in the United States, the Small Business Innovation Research Model. And of course, we are customizing it for Indian conditions because you cannot just take anything from there and apply it here. But it will be challenges that will be administered along with the ministry, where each of the ministries, Atal Innovation Mission will work with the ministry and with the associated industries to identify challenges which go through 2 phases. Phase 1 is take a research idea and convert it into a prototype. Phase 2 is take the prototype and convert it into a commercially deployable product. Phase 3 is actually the procurement, and we are working for policy changes within the government so that challenges which have come through this route and winners who have come through this route have come through a complex process of phase 1, phase 2 selection. And therefore, there is an argument for them to be able to be preferred, to have preferred market access, especially for government requirements, or even if there are large organizations which are doing some government procurement. And we are going to be working on that. We already have the buy-in from 7 of the ministries. And we are hopeful that we will have many more. The pilot programs will be launched in the month of July. And this will then scale up after the success of the pilots, which we are very confident of. It will scale up into a very, very large impact for the industry. Now, in all of this, there are 2 factors that we are keeping into play. One, what are the innovations that will create economic impact? Import substitution, growth of exports, and addressing the domestic need. So when you look at technology, the TRL levels for any innovation or a product, we want to ensure that one of these 3 very important needs is actually being met and being addressed. The second is diversity of sectors, because India has multiple sectors to be addressed. And while IT has grown big time, we have a tremendous opportunity in hardware-based innovation and electronics-based innovation, which we have to foster and which we have to support. And that is where organizations like IESA can play a very, very contributory role. And the third thing we are also doing consciously, because it's not so surprising actually, in our Atal Tinkering Labs, we found that 33% of the winners were girl students in the Atal Tinkering Labs. And that is amazing considering that 50%, we have still to attain 50% girl students in schools. So you don't have enough girl students in schools, but whoever is attending the schools, we are having 33% of the top winners coming from girl students. So we are consciously seeing how you can encourage women-led startups, women-led incubators, women-based engineering innovations, and so on and so forth. And that is, again, a very important element in the selection of incubators or winners. And to support all of this, we are building a mentoring network. Like I said, we already have a 10,000 person mentoring network. It's very active, it's very vibrant. But what we are looking for from you as all, as part of the industry, is how you can encourage your employees to become mentors to the Atal Tinkering Labs, to the Atal Incubators, to the startups, in whatever capacity, because we need mentors who are been there, done that, and being able to contribute. With all of this, I'm sure many of these initiatives will have great results. We are very hopeful of it. And I do think that this is a great opportunity for India to position itself as a leader. We lost the sort of race in the industrial revolution that swept the world in the last century. But we do have, all of us, have a unique opportunity to become leaders in the knowledge economy that is sweeping the world. And I do look forward to working with IESA very closely and seeing how we can escalate the momentum and how we can work together to make sure that these objectives are met. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. While we are, I'd like to request our President and our Vice Chairman, Satya Gupta, Satya, to hand over a moment of appreciation to Mr. Ramanan. Thank you, sir.